Sidney Sheldon once stated, "Leave the earth a better place than when you arrived." Protecting the environment is very important. What's more important is that when you see an issue, you fix it. And that's what the city of Piqua needs to do when it comes to the silt and algae problem of Franz Pond. I have lived by this pond for almost my entire life, and I have watched it deteriorate over the years. A place where I once fished with my family has become nothing more than an eyesore. The pond used to be deep enough for people to take their boats out on, for people to fish in, for fish to live in, but as it started to fill with silt, now it's only about 6 to 5 feet deep at the deepest. And that's not how the pond should be. It has started to fill in with silt over the years due to heavy rains washing away the banks that were not enforced how they should be. This problem has then led to an overgrowth of algae and duckweed, further causing it to become uninhabitable to fish and insects. According to my neighbor Dash Underwood, who has been very involved with the city of Piqua on this matter, the reason this is happening is because of how the pond was originally developed. When it was dug out by the original owner, he did not call in an environmental engineer to look at the ecosystem and actually advise on how the lake should be dug out and reinforced. The houses were built, and the heavy equipment moving along the banks further caused the structural integrity to fail. So now, when the heavy rains come, the water washes away the banks, and the pond continues to fill in. Franz Pond needs to be fixed, and by this, I mean that the silt issue needs to actually be fully addressed before the lake completely fills in. This problem needs to be addressed before it starts to cause issues in the other waterways we drink from, such as algae buildup and fish die-offs. The city needs to step in and help the environment because, one, the pond is filling in due to a silt problem coming from the stream leading into the pond, which is changing the once thriving ecosystem from a beautiful pond into a mosquito-infested marshland. Two, due to the changing ecosystem, there has been an overgrowth of algae, which has made wildlife move out of the pond, and this algae problem could spread to Echo Lake and Swift Run and further disrupt our waterways which we drink from. Three, this issue is not being properly addressed by the city, as they have simply been wasting money with band-aid methods they think will help fix the issue. The first reason this needs to be fixed is because it is disrupting a beautiful, amazing ecosystem. We have a duty to protect our waterways and the animals that inhabit them. We use these places for fishing, spending time with our families, going on picnics, just enjoying nature. And we also use our waterways for drinking water, which, as everybody knows, is extremely important to our survival. Franz Pond is not a major source of our drinking water, but it does lead into our other waterways that we do get our drinking water from. And the issues that are being seen at Franz Pond could easily happen to Echo Lake, Swift Run, Miami River, places like that. So if the issue does happen elsewhere and we've already fixed it at Franz Pond, we will already know how to fix it, the cost to the city, and the time it will take to fix it. And this will in turn keep more ecosystems from being disrupted. The second reason is the algae problem. The pond has started to fill in and the fish have started to leave. This has left more oxygen and more space for plants like algae and duckweed to grow, which I can show with these pictures right here. This is a picture of the lake on July 2nd, and this is a picture of the lake on July 9th. As you can see, the bright green is the algae, and that, in the course of a week, has spread rapidly. If I were to look out my back porch right now, I would see almost the entire lake covered. It's not a pretty sight, and it's not good for the ecosystem. And as algae is often bacteria, it grows extremely fast. And according to Science Daily, the dissolved oxygen content decreases and many fish and aquatic insects cannot survive. If this algae and duckweed spreads to our other waterways like Echo Lake and Swift Run, there could be an algal bloom there as well, causing massive fish die-offs, which will pollute our drinking water. If we stop it now while it's still contained, we won't have to face this problem. The third reason is that as of right now, the city is only providing band-aid solutions to these two problems. I have talked with the lead person on this issue, Sky Shell, about the recent 500 tilapia that were put in the pond. They were put in the pond to help eat away the algae and duckweed. And he told me that they are all supposed to die by Thanksgiving. And then city workers will go out and collect the dead fish. So, again, wasting money. And according to the Piqua Daily Call, as the fish die, of course, it will be necessary to restock the fish every year. So we have the plan to pump more money into not fixing the real issue. If we put this money and time into finding an engineering team that can tell us how to fix the soil erosion, we will not need to clean up dead fish every year and replace them every year. And that being said, some people may think it's not the duty of the city to fund a project like this due to the fact that it is not city-owned land. Some would also say that the algae issue is contained to Franz Pond and doesn't pose a threat to our other waterways. I would disagree with both of these statements, both of those statements. During my interview with Mr. Underwood, I discovered that when Franz Pond was being dug out, the original owner had to get permission from the city to do so. Normally, a private citizen would not be able to simply excavate a new pond without proper engineering advice. However, the city did not enforce this, and he was allowed to do what he wanted. So, if the city had done its original job, we would not be having this issue in the first place. As for the algae issue, Franz Pond, as I've said, is connected to Echo Lake, and algae and bacteria grow at extremely fast rates, which you saw from the pictures that I presented. This could infect our other waterways, and algal blooms have been seen in other lakes in Ohio, the most notable being the algal bloom at St. Mary's back in 2015, which, according to WHIO, the algae made the water so toxic it was making people sick just from swimming in it. We don't want the same problem to happen to our lakes in Piqua. If we let the problem get out of hand, it will be harder to combat and fix in the future. However, if we stop it now, we won't have to spend as much time and money fixing it later on. The issue of Franz Pond, it is one that can be solved. Yes, it will take time, it will take money, it will take effort, but those are three things that are already being spent and wasted at this point. The ecosystem is deteriorating rapidly as the pond fills in more and more with each passing year, which is leading to the other major problem of the algae bloom. The algae is causing fish and other wildlife to leave the pond and could spread to our other waterways. For this, the city has wasted money on fish to eat the algae, fish that will need to be replaced every year, and we're okay with that? The future can either be one filled with beautiful waterways or one filled with algae-infested cesspools. We have a duty to leave the environment a better place for the generations after us. Thank you for your time, and I challenge you to consider your own views on this topic and how it might be solved.